Good morning to everyone, and welcome again to our channel. Today, we are going to discuss about opposites. Opposites play a really important role in our lives, and I think on a beautiful morning like this, a nice autumn morning, the river is calm, the trees have lost their leaves, have become naked, the sun is shining, and the winter is knocking on the doors. I think it's a good time to talk about opposites. Usually in the physical world, the opposites are defined as man or woman, desert or a forest. And in this kind of opposites, there is actually some factual difference, okay? In a desert, it's difficult to find a drop of water. And on the other hand, on a tropical rainforest, there is so much water, so much biodiversity. So, what we are going to talk today is not this kind of opposites. We are talking about the opposites which we actually carry, which we actually go through in our daily lives. And these opposites are more of a psychological, they are more of active in a psychological sense. An example of this could be happiness and sorrow or sadness, anger, non-anger, violence, non-violence, peaceful, chaotic, fearful, non-fearful, courageous. So this kind of opposites are existing in our mind, and we are juggling between them daily in our life. So let's look at these things for a second. The moment we say, first of all, that opposites are existing in our psychology, we are accepting that our psychology is a mixture of different things, okay? Our psychology has sadness, our psychology also has happiness. Our psychology has anxiety, fear. Our psychology also has calmness, peacefulness, occasionally, but it's there. So this is our general claim about our psychology, that in our psychology we have positive aspects and negative aspects. These are defined as positive and negative on the basis of experience, actually. In reality, there is no positive emotion or experience, and neither there is a negative emotion or experience. Emotions are negative or positive just on the basis of how they feel to us. Fear is usually defined or observed as a negative emotion, but happiness can be defined as a positive emotion. So again, opposites, positive and negative. So what is the nature of these opposites, first of all? That's the question I want to raise. How do we deal with these opposites? That's also, let's look at it. And then, is there some other strategy to approach opposites? If you would see that the physical opposites like man and woman are not just opposites by definition, they are opposites in actuality, in physical sense, that a forest is an actually different condition than a desert. But is it the same? Is it so in the psychological sense? Is happiness different in the same way to sadness as a forest is different to a desert? The opposite in the mind or in the psychology are usually based on definitions, okay? the definitions are based on personal experiences. For example, I meet a person, and after meeting the person I feel scared. It can happen. Maybe the person looks a little dangerous, has some scars on the face, is huge maybe, and your experience of meeting this person is that it kind of invites a fear inside of you. And you call that fear, and you call that as a negative emotion. On the other hand, you meet another person, and that puts a smile on your face. And this experience you actually call happiness or pleasantness. And you term this experience as positive. So, if you would see that the difference of defining whether something is painful or something is pleasant, whether something is giving you happiness or whether something is giving you sadness, fear, anxiety, or sorrow, is based on how you experience that emotion. Okay? But at the same time, you should also note down that inherently they are both experiences. Okay? Happiness is also an experience, sadness is also an experience. Okay? Anger is also an experience, calmness is also an experience, pleasantness is also an experience. Just on the way they on the basis of how they feel to you, you are defining them, you are naming them. Okay? Now, another thing that comes when you define it on the basis of experience of you is that one opposite is dependent on the other opposite. Okay? For example, pleasantness or happiness is dependent on sorrow or sadness. What is happy? The one which is not sorrow. What is sorrow? The one which is not happy. But note down very carefully that inherently they are both experiences. And we kind of forget to see this because we think these are two totally independent entities, totally independent quantities. But actually, they are only different in the terms of how we define them. They are both experiences, but one experience we call happy and the other experience we call sorrow or sadness. So, from this explanation, and if the explanation was a bit too quick, a bit too heavy, you can rewind it, play it slower. You can see that one opposite is dependent on the other opposite. They are both experiences, but how I feel about that experience is going to make me define whether it's happiness or sadness. And one is the opposite of the other. One is defined on the basis of the other. Okay? I express my love to someone. If the person says yes, I'm happy. If the person says no, I'm sad. Understand? Inherently, whether the person says yes or no, I will go through an experience. Doesn't matter what the answer of the person is. But how I will define that experience will depend on the answer. How I will define that when the person accepts my love, I will say, I feel happy, I feel joyous, I feel in love. And if the person rejects my answer, I say, I feel sad, heartbroken. So, both are interconnected. They look like they are independent, but actually, opposites are connected in the psychological world. Okay? Now, let's also look how we kind of deal with opposites. Okay? Suppose I become fearful because of something. I remember a story, not story actually, an actual happening which used to happen to me, that I would be afraid of something, maybe a spider or a bad dream in the night, and I would run to my mother and I will ask, Mom, I'm really afraid. Can you help me? Like, can you tell me what to do? And she would suggest me a prayer, okay? And she would say, just sing this prayer and the fear will go away. So, just this is one of the way I tried to deal with my fear when I was quite young. And maybe some grown-up people also use the same strategy even when they are grown-ups. And there are numerous other strategies that we have. But what is the core in all of the most strategies is that the moment I feel afraid, I imagine a state which is not afraid. Okay? I imagine a state in which fear has disappeared, and I desire to reach that state. Okay? When you try to do that, what are you trying to do? Let's take maybe another simpler example of anger. When you're angry, right? And you suddenly realize you're angry, what do you try to do? You try to go to non-anger or calmness, okay? And the way you try to do it is by saying to yourself, okay, calm down, okay, I shouldn't be angry, okay, control yourself, okay, this and that. I don't know if you have observed it or not, but this is how it happens. And the same can be said about other states. You're very, very much in pain because of heartbreak, and then you're saying, no, but you should be strong, it's fine, this is life, I should move on, and this and this and this. So by thinking about a new state, you are trying to move away from your current state. I wonder if you see this. I'm afraid, and I try to move away from the fear because I cannot solve the fear. I don't have a solution for this fear. I don't know how to fix this fear. You see, we are looking at something new now, because when the fear arises, I'm incapable of dealing with it. I'm incapable of solving it, fixing it. So I try to run away from fear by creating another emotion which is not fear, which is the opposite of fear. Okay? But I create the new emotion on the basis of the original emotion, on the basis of fear. I create a new emotion which is not fear, which is the opposite of fear. It's getting a little complicated, but if you're trying to understand, you can see that on the basis of fear, I'm creating a new state which is not fear. So the new state is being given birth by the state of fear. So it appears to be the opposite of fear, but actually it's not. It has its roots in fear because I'm defining it on the basis of fear. I'm saying I should be in a state which is not this current state of mind, which is fear. And then how I try to create this new state is by either making a prayer, either by taking my mind away from it, by bringing a specific kind of positive thought to my mind and trying to be in a different mood. Okay? So I hope from this you saw that one is giving birth to the other. Fear is giving birth to its opposite. The opposite actually doesn't exist. The opposite is just an idea which is made by you on the basis of your present situation, on the basis of your present condition. Okay? And this can be applied to any negative emotion. Okay? But see that when the negative emotion comes, you try to run away from it by creating its opposite. Okay? Now, just think about it for a second that when you have a problem in front of you, whether it's a scientific problem, engineering problem, medical problem, any problem, the solution only comes when you observe the problem, when you learn about the problem. And that observation and learning helps you to understand the problem. And the understanding of the problem is already the solution of the problem. Usually a problem remains a problem because you're not able to understand it, that's what's going on. But the moment you start observing the problem, you start understanding the problem, and the solution starts to come up by itself. I hope you're trying to see this. So, even in science, engineering, medicine, everywhere, whenever someone is trying to solve a problem, they don't run away from the problem to a new state. Okay? They try to observe what's going on, and then they try to find a solution for it. In the same way, when you experience the negative emotion, fear, sadness, anxiety, whatever, don't run away from it. That's our usual habit. That's the habit which the brain is used to run away from the negative emotion to a new state which is calm, peaceful, and whatever, positive. But actually, the moment the negative states comes, treat it as a very golden opportunity to observe it. Okay? Become a scientist at that moment. When fear comes, observe fear with all your capability, with all your best possibility. Observe the fear. Running away from the fear will only give you a partial solution. You might start feeling, you might stop feeling fear for some time, but after day or 2 days, the fear will come back. Okay? Because you haven't solved it. You just hid it and you moved away from it. But when you try to observe the fear, anxiety, any kind, actually you can even do it with a positive emotion. When you try to observe it, then you try to understand it. Okay? And as we said in the beginning of the video, that positive or negative, they are both emotions at the end of the day. So the mechanism of feeling fear is the same as the mechanism of feeling happiness, because fear and happiness are both emotions. They don't have different mechanisms inherently. Okay? But observing happiness is way little difficult, I would say, because in happiness we get lost completely. But you can start with fear and negative emotions. That whenever a negative emotion is coming to you, you observe it. You become a scientist. You observe it with all your capability. And you would see, as you would observe it, you would learn about it. As you would learn about it, there would be no need to run away from it. Because as you're understanding it, you're fixing it. I wonder if you see this. We have just discovered something, that understanding the thing is the solution, actually. You don't have to look for a separate solution. Solution is not something separate. The observation of the problem is its solution. So, the observation of one opposite is actually the solution of the other opposite as well. Because at the end of the day, both the opposites are emotions. Okay? Experiences. They are both experiences. So, whether you observe fear and you understand it, then you also understand happiness. That's the magic of it. Or you can understand happiness, observe it, and then you will also understand fear. But it's very difficult to observe happiness, actually, because happiness is a very strong emotion which kind of absorbs everyone, and no one wants to lose that emotion at that moment. We all want to enjoy it. Okay? So try this. Again, I'm requesting again on the channel, try this. Nothing is to be believed, nothing is to be trusted. Try it, test it every day. Okay? Every day life will give you chances to observe your fear, to observe your happiness and everything. Observe them every day, and you would see the very observation is showing you the fact, first of all, that the opposites are connected. They are not different. They just appear to be different. As I told you, they appear different only on the basis of definition, how we define. So they are both experiences, one experience is given, just in one situation experience is given one name, and in other situation experience is given another name. I wonder if you see this as well. Only experience is going on, and you are giving different names to that experience, to the same experience. It's not even different experience. Like the experience of happiness and the experience of fear and sadness is actually the same experience, just it's given two names at two different times, depending on how you feel about it, how the observer feels about it. Okay, so I think we have gone quite a lot of in depth in the video today in opposites, and we have touched a lot of things, and I think maybe even a few of the things I can make separate videos on that we just touched today. And if you will try it, then you would see that you would be able to observe all these things. These are not personal opinions. Again, I am repeating, we are discussing only facts on the channel. This is how it's going on inside of you, and you can test it. That's why I'm always stressing on testing. You can test it, and when you will test it, you will find that that is so. And when you find that that is so, you can write a comment to me and say, I have seen it. Okay, and then we are together in that observation. So use your time in your life, observe everything very carefully. Remember, the very observation is the solution. There is no separate solution. There is no opposite. Problem and its opposite is solution. But look what we just found. The observation of the problem is the solution. So the solution is not separate from the problem. Okay? So I think we've said enough today, and I don't want to make the video too long, and I hope you would enjoy it, and I hope you would find it useful as well. So we will meet next time with another topic. I would try to maybe even increase the frequency of the videos to 2 videos a week. I have accumulated a lot of ideas now. In the sense, I used that sentence in the sense that I have many topics that have already been part of the list of YouTube videos. I have a list where I'm preparing that, okay, this is what I'm supposed to post, and I try to post where things keep connected from the last video, and we keep moving on. So maybe I can do 2 videos a week if I get some extra time. I have to see. So I hope you will try this, and that would be actually very beautiful if you try this, and we will meet again in the next video.